Hi, it's Josh Goldberg here. Welcome to this short video course on emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is very important for every person in their daily life when dealing with family, friends, and in their workplace, and just dealing with their own emotions and the emotions of others in any scenario. Today, with the way that the world is and the way that people are being raised, it's very common for people to have missed out on getting an emotional education, and therefore people today can have quite low emotional intelligence, which does lead to a number of different negative results in a person's life. So this short course is going to boost your emotional intelligence, which, in my opinion, emotional intelligence is far more valuable than any university degree. In fact, I went to school with a guy who was a genius, and he was the #1 mathematician as far as his mathematic ability in Australia, and he ended up working in the drive-through of McDonald's because he wasn't able to deal with himself and other people in a way that was successful enough to really materialize his abilities in thinking. Okay, so emotional intelligence is very important. So in this course, I'm going to give you 10 key points, and each key point that I put on the white screen, I want you to write down exactly what is on the screen, and I want you to read these 10 key emotion facts out loud to yourself at least once a day for 40 days. And this is how you are going to create this foundation of emotional intelligence in your mind, which is going to significantly help with how you handle your own emotions and the emotions of others. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to put each of these emotional key points on a white screen. I want you to write them down, and then I'm going to explain each key point a little bit. And if you have any questions about any of these emotional key facts, you can submit your questions to the email address that I'm going to put in the description, and we will get back to you to answer your question, okay? So let's get started. Key point number 1. Emotions are 100% internal motivational energy. Our emotions have nothing to do with the outside world or anyone else, and we don't have to act on emotions. Okay, so let's explain this a little bit. So emotions are a motivational energy that exists inside of each of us. The emotion is a motivating energy, and it is basically guiding us and telling us in which way that we're meant to behave in a given situation. But that doesn't mean that we have to act on it. Okay, it's a motivating energy. It's not compulsory to act on emotions, it's just motivating us to act. So for example, if you're in a forest and you notice a brown bear, which is a deadly creature, the emotions that you get will motivate you to do what you have to do in order to be safe, in order to survive. And the fact that our emotions have nothing to do with anyone or anything on the outside, it doesn't mean that things in the external environment are not the stimulus for our emotions, but our emotions are ours and they're for us, okay? So even though things in our environment stimulate our emotions, they're not actually, so to speak, connected to the outside environment or to other people. So say, for example, it's not correct to say, oh, that person made me angry. It is correct to say, I feel angry when that person does A, B, C. So there is a difference. So the fact that it's an internal energy is very important. The fact that you don't have to act on emotions is very important. And just remember that emotions are stimulated by our environment, but it's not connected to our environment, meaning it's still our internal motivational energy and it's inside of us, not on the outside. Key point number 2. There are no good or bad emotions. or positive and negative emotions. So the correct way to categorize emotions is into pleasant emotions, neutral emotions, and unpleasant emotions. So just to expand on this, there's no such thing as good or bad emotions, or right or wrong emotions, or positive or negative emotions. Emotions are best labeled and categorized into how they're experienced. So unpleasant emotions are obviously emotions like anxiety, fear, disgust, anger. These are actually unpleasant to experience these emotions, but they're not negative. They still have a purpose. They're not bad because they, like I said, they still have a purpose. And neutral emotions are emotions like relaxed, calm, peaceful. And then you have positive emotions, which have a positive experience like happiness, joy, elation, emotions like this. So that's key point number 2, is that it's very emotionally intelligent to categorize emotions into pleasant, neutral, and unpleasant emotions. Key point number 3, all emotions are worthy of understanding and validation. We connect to the emotions of others by providing empathy. So let's talk about this quickly. So all emotions are worthy of understanding and validation. Even unpleasant emotions are just as worthy of being understood and validated by other people, just as much as pleasant and neutral emotions. So there's no such thing as, oh, well, you shouldn't be feeling that way. Okay, if a person's feeling something, there's a reason behind it, and it's worthy of being understood and validated. So that's key point number 3, is all emotions are worthy of understanding and validation. And empathy is this technique and this skill of making the other person feel as if their emotion is understood by you and that it's valid. Okay, so this sounds like something like, what's behind this feeling of jealousy that you're experiencing? I understand that you're feeling jealous, and it's totally okay that you're feeling that way. So this is empathy. It involves a person coming out of themselves and trying to understand what the other person is feeling and making them feel validated and that it's okay for them to be having that emotion. Key point number 4, emotions are meant to be benefiting us in our lives. If we are labeling them and feeling them, they are an internal guidance system for us. Now, the only time emotions become detrimental is when a person is not feeling them and they're not labeling them, and then they become stored in the body and can come up at particular times. Okay, we know this as triggers or emotional flashbacks. So this is key point number 4, that emotions are meant to be beneficial, but the condition is that we have to be labeling them correctly and actually experiencing these emotions. Otherwise, they can become detrimental and have detrimental effects on situations, on our decisions, and also on our relationships. So the way I like to describe this is, it's like an alarm system for a house. If someone is breaking into a house and the alarm system detects this burglar and the alarm system goes off, this alarm is doing its job at the time that it's needed, okay, to alert everyone that there is someone breaking into this house. Now, just say if this alarm system doesn't turn off for many weeks, months, and even years, the alarm system then becomes a disturbance to other people and a detriment to the property. And this is the same with emotions. If you go through an unpleasant situation and the emotions are not labeled and they're not felt, and this emotion is stored in the body instead of being released and regulated, this emotion will be detrimental to future relationships and also cause the person to make regretful decisions, and it will be detrimental also to the person. Key point number 5, our emotions are ours to feel and regulate. No one else is responsible for them. So let's explain this a little bit. So when a person is feeling something, it is 100% the individual's responsibility to label, to feel, and to regulate what they're feeling. Even if another person is involved in a scenario where these emotions were created in the individual, a person can't say, well, you made me feel angry, you made me angry, you made me upset, you have to do something about this. Okay, that's not the correct way to deal with emotions. Even if other people are involved in the scenario where you felt these emotions, the emotions are still yours to label, feel, and regulate yourself. Key point number 6, our emotions are not the external reality. And we can have emotions that don't match what is really happening in the scenario. Okay, so as I said in key point number 1, emotions are internal motivational energy. Feelings are not factual. Okay, it is experiential. And a person can have feelings that don't match what is really happening. So just say a man and a woman are walking along a beach, and the man looks out to some birds in the distance at the same time that a woman jogging past, okay? Now, his girlfriend feels jealous because she perceives that he was looking at this woman jogging past. Now, was he looking at the woman jogging past? The answer is no, he was looking at the birds. But it doesn't make any difference, okay? Her emotion of jealousy is worthy of understanding and validation, even though he wasn't doing what she perceived. So this is an example of how emotions don't match what is happening on the outside, and an emotionally intelligent person understands this and sees the benefit in providing the understanding and the validation to the other person, despite the fact that they weren't even doing what the other person was perceiving that they were doing. So the wrong thing to do in the situation is for him to defend himself, explain, to say to her, oh, I wasn't looking at her, you got it wrong, you're misjudging me. Okay, this is not emotionally intelligent way of handling this. The emotionally intelligent way of dealing with the scenario is saying to his partner, I understand that you're feeling jealous and it makes sense and it's valid that you're feeling jealous that you thought I was looking at this girl, and it's totally okay that you're feeling that way. This is emotionally intelligent and understanding and validating, and it helps the other person to regulate what they're feeling, and it is emotionally connecting. Key point number 7, emotions can be different to our thoughts. So what we're feeling and what we're thinking can be totally different and sometimes even contradictory. And this is cognitive dissonance. And an example of this can be you wake up in the morning and you feel lethargic, indolent, and lazy. That's the emotion. But in your thoughts, you're saying, but I have to go to work, I have to pay rent. If I don't go to work, then I'm going to lose my job, and so on and so forth. So this is key point number 7, that emotions and thoughts can be different, and it is very helpful to be able to differentiate between what are your thoughts and what are my feelings. And the best way to differentiate between an emotion and thoughts is an emotion is one word. Okay, lethargic. That's my feeling. I'm feeling lethargic. And a thought is always a few statements, okay? So a thought is more information than just one word. So a thought would be, but I have to go to work because if I don't go to work, then I'm not going to be able to pay my bills and my rent is coming in 4 days, and so on and so forth. So thoughts are a large quantity of information, whereas a feeling is one word. And it's good to practice labeling emotions as one word and then processing thoughts and being able to differentiate between what am I feeling versus what am I thinking. So that's key point number 7, is that emotions can be different to our thoughts, and that is totally natural and healthy and okay. And it's good to practice differentiating between our thoughts and our feelings. Key point number 8, emotions don't disappear. The only way emotions leave our body is when we label them and we fully feel them and we let go of them. Okay, this is called emotional regulation. Otherwise, emotions never disappear from being stored in our body. So ignoring emotions, avoiding emotions, trying to distract ourselves from feeling emotions through distracting activities, video games, business, other hobbies, drinking, drugs, sexual activity. All of these distracting or avoiding behaviors are never going to regulate the emotion. So emotions don't disappear from our bodies until we label them and we feel them, which means that we can actually feel that energy in our body and we let go of them. So that's key point number 8, is that emotions don't disappear until we fully feel them. Key point number 9, feeling and letting go of past unpleasant emotions is a very liberating and healthy thing to do. It makes a person less drained and tired. It's better for their physical health and their mental health. It reduces intrusive thoughts, obsessive thoughts, and cognitive distortions. And it also makes room for new emotions to come into them. For example, happiness, joy, and just relieves the person of this emotional burden. So that's key point number 9, that letting go of past unpleasant emotions from past trauma or past unpleasant experiences is a very healthy and beneficial thing to do. Key point number 10 is letting go of past unpleasant emotions is never going to be harmful to a person, and you are safe to feel these emotions, to experience them, and to let them go. It's not going to be harmful for you to do this. So no matter how unpleasant the emotion is from the past trauma or the past unpleasant situation, it's never going to cause a person to become harmed or to even perish. So that's key point number 10, is that you're safe to feel these past unpleasant emotions. It's not going to be harmful for you. These emotions were created in a situation that you lived through. So if you survived that situation where these emotions were created, you will certainly survive and be safe in feeling these emotions and letting them go.